Welcome to a new episode of Review Rundown. We've got some big releases this week, so let's dive right in. Ajay Devgan's Raid 2 arrives with a sense of deja vu that only amplifies the issues that it faces. Set 7 years after the original, the film once again follows the upright income tax officer Amay Patnaik, who returns to tackle a den of corruption. This time, he faces off against Ritesh Deshmukh's Dada Manohar Bhai, a local godfather who operates under a thin veil of respectability. Despite a solid cast, including the return of Saurabh Shukla, Amit Sial, and a new supporting role by Vani Kapoor, the film drowns in its own predictability. From the very start, Raid 2 follows the exact same beats as its predecessor. The film's first half is painfully redundant, with much of the content feeling unnecessary given the audience's familiarity with Amay's character. The setup, which could have been more engaging, becomes almost a slog to even sit through. Ajay Devgan's portrayal of Amay remains stoic and serious, but the lack of character development in this installment leaves him feeling like a one-note figure. On the other hand, Ritesh Deshmukh's portrayal of Dada Bhai does bring in some intrigue, but it often feels like he's underutilized amidst the relentless action and dialogue. The supporting cast does offer some brief moments of relief, with Amit Sial's crafty IT officer role and Yashpal Sharma's principled lawyer standing out in a sea of overly dramatic performances. Saurabh Shukla's return as the boisterous Tauji is another highlight, providing the much-needed levity when the film threatens to tip into complete monotony. The direction falters in trying to build tension and suspense, and the bloated runtime does not help either. The clash between Amay and Dada Bhai seems like it should be a high-stakes battle, but it never truly captivates you like that. Instead, it gets lost in a haze of predictable moments and loud background scores. For a film that is supposed to be a thrilling ride, Raid 2 offers much less excitement and too much of the same. So, in conclusion, Raid 2 might appeal to those who enjoyed the original but struggles to stand on its own. It delivers a lot of the same but with fewer thrills and more predictability. Let's now move on to Hit 3. Hit 3 is a bloody, intense action drama that takes the franchisee to new heights, both in scale and in ambition, with Nani stepping into the role of Arjun Sarkar, a tough, no-nonsense cop. This third installment in the hit franchisee, directed by Sailesh Kolanu, clearly aims to expand the scope with an action-packed narrative that takes our hero from Bihar to Kashmir and finally to Arunachal Pradesh. Nani's portrayal of Arjun is both ruthless and emotionally very complex. Now, unlike the previous films where the character's emotions and attachments often played a key role, here, Nani's character seems more focused on his own job than personal stakes. While it's refreshing to see a cop with no personal emotional connection to the case, Hit 3 often veers into troubling territory, using excessive police brutality as a tool for building drama. Although the antagonists are framed as more violent and sinister, the depiction of unchecked violence within the police force feels unnecessarily irresponsible. While there are occasional glimpses of his investigative skills, the film's plot often resorts to repetitive action sequences which kind of diminish the importance of the case itself. The film's strength, though, lies in its action sequences itself, which ramp up throughout the movie, culminating in a thrilling final showdown. Nani's dedication to the intense stunts is apparent, and he delivers a solid performance, physically and mentally exhausting himself to portray a character that is merciless in his pursuit. Having said that, the film does suffer from an underdeveloped supporting cast. Srinidhi Shetty, who plays Mridula, is relegated to a role that feels like an afterthought, her presence providing little more than a break from the violence. The film relies heavily on Nani's star power, and while his performance is stellar, the lack of depth in other characters leaves the film feeling very one-dimensional. The final act is chaotic, intense, and undeniably thrilling. It's clear that the makers are striving to make Hit 3 a pan-Indian blockbuster, and it's evident in the scale and ambition of the production. So now the question is, will this franchisee maintain its unique identity, or will it fall into the same trap as other massive action films? Only time will tell, but for now, Hit 3 serves up a bloody, action-packed ride held together by Nani's electric performance. Kartik Subrad's Retro sees the director once again combining star power with social commentary, resulting in a film that oscillates between indulgence and ambitions. Surya, in the lead role of Parivel Kannan, delivers a masterful performance that is the film's heart and soul. The film is an adventurous, layered narrative that tackles themes of purpose, love, war, and revolution. While the film's premise is undeniably compelling, its execution at times falters, leaving the audience to question if the boldness of the narrative always works in its favor. The core plot revolves around Pari, a boy who grows under Thilagan's tutelage. While Pari's journey is rooted in his search for love and acceptance, Kartik Subbaraj layers the film with multiple arcs, adding complexity that sometimes feels more convoluted than enriching. What works most in Retro is how powerful the central performance by Surya is. He brings depth and nuance to Pari, making him a brooding yet compelling anti-hero. The romance with Rukmini adds a layer of humanity to Pari, but unfortunately Rukmini's character feels underwritten, leaving Pooja with little to do except look disapprovingly at Pari's violent journey. The technical crew deserves a lot of credit. Cinematographer Shreyas Krishna's work enhances the film's gritty yet epic scope, while composer Santosh Narayan's score sets the mood for intense action and quiet moments alike. Despite these technical strengths, Retro often becomes a victim of its own excess. The narrative swings between entertaining and exhausting, and at times the indulgent storytelling loses its grip on the message. The more fantastical and action-heavy sequences, while thrilling, sometimes feel disconnected from the grounded emotional journey of the protagonist. At its core, Retro is a reflection of Kartik Subbaraj's own exploration of the political issue close to his heart, the oppression of the oppressed, and the revolution that ignites in response. Let's talk about Bhootni now. The film starts off in a way that makes you immediately question your decision to come and watch it. After enduring the full 2 hours and 10 minutes, that question will still remain unanswered. The film fails to deliver in almost every aspect, leaving you wondering how it even got made in the first place. Sanjay Dutt and Mouni Roy star in this supposed horror comedy, but the movie's complete lack of a coherent plot and production quality is its biggest downfall. From the very start, you're left thinking, what am I watching? The film stretches over 2 hours, but by the end, you're still wondering the same thing. While horror comedies are trending, especially after the success of films like Stree, this one completely misses the mark. It tries too hard to stand out, but in doing so, it loses all sense of direction. The setting is a college in Delhi named St. Vincent's around a mysterious virgin tree. The supposed students, including the main trio Shantanu, Sahil and Nasir, spend their time battling spirits with the help of a ghostbuster Baba played by Sanjay Dutt. But the film's attempt to make sense of this supernatural world falls flat with lines like, "The soul is eternal," and "This is not a ghost but an unfulfilled wish." Mouni Roy plays the Bhootni, who's full of contradictions. She's got a tragic past and unsettling green eyes, but her portrayal of a ghost is more laughable than scary. She snatches up nervous boys with the chilling question, "What are your hobbies?" The film is full of random, disconnected discussions about science and religion, including strange references to Valentine's Day and Holika Dahan, and throws in some woke lines about communal divisions that seem completely out of place. At one point, the Bhootni herself even states, "I am not alive." By the end, you may find yourself agreeing with her. In conclusion, the Bhootni tries to be unique but ends up as a chaotic mess with little to no entertainment value. It's a film that lacks coherence, wit, and any meaningful storytelling. Finally, we have Kostau. In Kostau, Nawazuddin Siddiqui steps into a role that plays to his strengths, but unfortunately, the film does not live up to its potential due to a lackluster script. Based on a true story of Kostau Fernandez, a customs officer in 1990s Goa who bravely fought gold smuggling, the film could have been a gripping tale of integrity in the face of corruption. However, it fails to create the impact that it should have. The film starts with a voiceover which immediately sets the tone for a story that feels more narrated than experienced. In this case, the narrative is filtered through the eyes of Kostau's daughter, turning the film into a more told story rather than something that fully immerses the audience. The plot follows the conflict between Kostau and the powerful mobster De Mello, played by Kishore. Their feud intensifies after a tragic event involving De Mello's younger brother. The film struggles with its pacing, and while Nawazuddin Siddiqui gives a solid performance as Kostau, the storytelling doesn't quite do justice to his talents. Priya Bapat, portraying Kostau's wife Maria, is another standout, bringing depth to her role. Gagan Dev Rial's portrayal of a corrupt officer also adds a layer of intrigue. But then Kishore's portrayal of the mellow feels one-dimensional with little more than a grimace to communicate his menace. In conclusion, Kosau has all the ingredients of a compelling story but fails to execute them with the vigor needed to make it memorable. It's a film that lets down both its actors and the real-life story that it's trying to depict. This is it for this week's review rundown. See you in the next episode.